Steve Buchanan, and we're talking about irrigation today. It is absolutely the most procedure we do, even though we've spent most of our development on instruments and obturation. But irrigation is it because we have such complicated anatomy. You have no hope of touching it with a file. Now we understand you don't even want to touch it with a file if you don't have to. So the question is, why does it take so little time to dissolve a pulp if you broach it and put it in a dapping dish? It's literally 2 to 3 minutes, it's all dissolved. The reason that this is a much, much more challenging problem is we have these little tiny spaces with big fins beside them, and this is a linear dissolution project, and that just takes time. You can't burn it out of there in a minute. But with sodium chlorate and with constant flow, especially if you put, aerate it, you put bubbles in it, it will clean a root canal system out in 12 minutes. All the canals at the same time. So, do we need a gentle wave? I've used it. It's a great machine, but it's $80,000. So really, you just have to know more about irrigants. You have to use them in the right order. You have to use the right irrigants. There's no big mystery here, but things like chlorhexidine, not helpful. Having little additions to this like MTAD and Q-mix, not helpful. This is what it looks like when you instrument with hypochlorite. This is what it looks like with EDTA. That's why we always irrigate with EDTA during instrumentation. Look at the amount of debris that's shoved into this replica isthmus. So if you're not using EDTA while you're cutting these shapes and dissolving that smeared layer as you're cutting it, it's going to take too long for the hypochlorite to clean all the tissue behind it. There's tissue in here that your irrigants can't get to. So simple things like just, are you doing it in the right order? It makes a difference. Are you using it in a reasonable concentration? 3% is not safer than 6%. People like to dilute it and they feel safer, but it's a false security. What we decided was the dangerous part about irrigating needles is you're pushing them with a plunger. And my epiphany was, well, why don't we apply vacuum pressure to the pulp chamber and pull it out the ends of the needles? And what that does, it gives us this kind of an outcome. But unlike endovac, which is usually only to the depth you can place the needle, we have an effect 5 millimeters ahead of the needle because it's an outflow device. And that's a huge help. And the most important thing about sodium hypochlorite is how often you replenish the used up molecules. The moment it digests tissue, it's done. It doesn't do anything else until another molecule comes along. There's questions about whether endovac is better than traditional irrigation. The answer to that is no, it's not. The only reason we see such good results with endovac is because you have to continually irrigate the whole time or it just suctions out. When we do positive pressure, we tend to put it in the root canal system and then go do something else, which is okay, but it takes 40 minutes then. If you irrigate continuously, it's only about 12 minutes. So my dream was to have endovac with a manifold so that we can clean canals all at the same time. One of the greatest advantages of gentle wave is it's multi-canalar. It works in all the canals. So here are the stages: premolar, anterior, and molars. The kits come with different number of needles. There's a single needle in the anterior kit, but you can add an accessory needle if you have a 2-canal lower incisor. The premolars have 2 needles and the molars have 4. You can see this is the suction. Here's the irrigants coming into the tooth, and here's the suction taking all the junk out. So it's quite a list. One of the things I'm proudest of is that it's an elegant design. We didn't kludge it with $80,000 worth of high-tech medical equipment. We figured out what makes it work the best, and it doesn't even need a power cord because you're going to plug it into your chair side evacuation. So I'm very proud of this. I've got 22 patents. I think this is probably the best thing I've invented so far. But we'll see how everybody else thinks about it. Thank you.